So Hacktoberfest happens every year. It's an event run by DigitalOcean and friends. Other companies do get involved.
Okay, today we have Jaoude, and he's one of my best friends on social media. We will meet one day. This is the second episode because we made one, I think, about 2 years ago. And he's a content creator, open source fanatic or maniac, we can say, community builder, active on social media, GitHub star, if I almost forgot. Yeah, perfect, of course. So, Eddie, it's always a pleasure to have you here today. And today we'll talk specifically about Hacktoberfest. So, hi, Eddie. How are you?
Hi, Francesco. It's amazing to be back on your channel again. I cannot believe it's been that long. We should do this more often. So I'm super excited to be here and to geek out with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is just the official one. I think you sneaked in a couple of live streams at some point, but this is the official second one. Nice. Okay, yes, Eddie, something more about yourself and then we can start.
Okay. So I'm really passionate about getting everyone into open source because where I am today is because of open source. And when I say open source, I don't mean code. I mean the collaboration, the communication, the networking, the having fun, all that great stuff. I mean, people want real world experience, but it's right there for them to take. They can take it on GitHub in open source and they can collaborate with so many amazing people. I do it every day. I'm just super excited to geek out with so many amazing people around the world. So big shout out to all those people and to all the amazing people in the Eddie Hub community because they support and help everyone in such a friendly way. So they're awesome. I'm learning from them all the time.
Yeah, perfect, Eddie. So, as I said before, this episode is specific for Hacktoberfest. So, let's start from the basics. What is Hacktoberfest?
This should be quite an easy question, but it's actually quite a hard question, I think. So I'm going to try. So Hacktoberfest happens every year. It's an event run by DigitalOcean and friends. Other companies do get involved, and they're encouraging people to contribute to open source through the entire month of October. And you know, most projects are built and maintained by people who do it on the side. They have a day job. They have families. So this is a great initiative to help those people improve their projects. But those people who are contributing, as I mentioned before, can grow their network. They can improve their technical skills. They can improve their core skills, their communication, their collaboration. And it's a great way for everyone really to get into open source. So the maintainers are gearing up this month in September before Hacktoberfest to make their projects more welcoming, you know, add issues with the label good first issue to get more contributors to their open source projects. So everyone, if you're watching, you don't have to code, and we're going to dig into that in a moment, into more details, but get involved in open source. You can thank me later.
Yeah, absolutely, Eddie. So yeah, that was a basic question, but they can turn into a bit more complicated, of course. Thank you so much. So, of course, October is not the only month when you can contribute to open source, but let's get a step back. So let's say that I am a person who has some experience with coding and I want to get started with open source. What should I do? Please help me.
I love this because I'm actually going to slightly change the question. I want to say you don't have to code to get involved in open source. And in fact, coding is such a small part of open source, which I'm going to dig into. So if you're new to tech, it's a great time to get involved in open source. Contributing to open source is for everyone. I really want to make that crystal clear, not just for coders. We create an issue or a discussion and we collaborate with people. There's no code involved. And when we do something called a pull request, which means we're making changes to the project, it's just like an issue, but with changes to the project. And I say changes, I don't say code, because it could be testing, it could be documentation, it could be DevOps, it could be translations, it could be so many things. And it's a great way to get involved in the project and then challenge yourself further. So some people, including myself, like my first contribution was fixing a typo. Okay, who am I kidding? Even my 10th contribution was fixing a typo. But then you grow from that. You take on more challenging tasks. You'll add some documentation. Then you'll add some automated tests. You might fix a bug. Then you're going to add features and you're going to grow from that. So it's so important. And I think it's not talked about enough that it's not just about code. So it doesn't matter where you are in your tech journey. Even if you're on day one, get involved in the conversation and geek out with us. And to be honest, you actually have a massive benefit. You have a fresh pair of eyes to the project and to tech. So you could come to a project and help them because they don't know what the project looks like from a fresh pair of eyes, right? They've been on the project for a while. They're making assumptions all the time. And someone who's new to tech or new to coding or new to that project can really give that fresh perspective and add value so they can improve it for the next person.
Nice idea as usual. Great answers. I love that. By the way, that was a bit devil's advocate question. It was on purpose, of course. Nice. So let's go back to Hacktoberfest. So where to start from a practical approach? Because we said, okay, so we made let's say the inspirational part, the motivational part, but let's say, okay, Eddie, I trust you. Now, how can I have a practical approach to this? Where should I start? Should I start looking to repositories, projects? How do I start in practical?
This is a great question. So in terms of the Hacktoberfest, let's get those details out of the way. So people need to register between the 26th of September to the 31st of October on the Hacktoberfest website. And a pull request, so changes to a project, can be made on GitHub or GitLab. That's participating in Hacktoberfest. So look out for the Hacktoberfest topic on the project. And maintainers must accept your pull request or merge request on GitLab for them to count towards your 4 pull requests if you want to get the swag or plant a tree, and we'll get back to that shortly. And you must make those contributions between the 1st of October and the 31st of October to compete. And the first 40,000 participants will get swag, or like I said, plant a tree. Please, people, don't just think about swag, plant a tree, help the environment, doing good with your contributions, but do even more good by planting a tree as well.
Yes, you can say swag is amazing, but if a contribution to open source can help you to get a job in tech, maybe this is also has some value, I think. And you can, and of course, at the end, you can also even get more swag in the future. So don't stop. Nice. Okay, so now about the contributions to Hacktoberfest. Is it a single player game or can it be a multiplayer game?
I love this question because I think it's both. You can't submit contributions as a team. You need to submit them from your own GitHub account. But that doesn't mean you have to do it alone. You know, you could collaborate with so many people. You can collaborate with communities, and everyone wants to help each other because by helping each other, they're learning even faster and growing their network and standing out as well. So they get to see it from both sides of the fence. So there is obviously the Eddie Hub community where we in the Eddie Hub community want you to get involved in the open source and to challenge yourself further for the next step. So if you need any help, do ask. And there's the Hacktoberfest community as well. If you're not sure where to find projects to contribute to, you can search GitHub for Hacktoberfest label, for good first issue label, and filter by a language, and also filter by activity, like was the project active in the last 30 days or 60 days. But a better way, I think, than trying to pick a random project online is to, in these communities, see what projects people are contributing to themselves. They'll be friendly projects. And also maybe the libraries and frameworks that you're using every day, those are really good ones to contribute to because you'll be used to them already. So get involved in the conversation, in the community, and trust me, once you start, you're going to have the opposite problem and you're going to have so many projects that you want to contribute to, you won't know which one to start with. But that's a good problem to have.
Nice. Thank you, Eddie. Okay, Eddie, and which are all the possible ways to contribute during the Hacktoberfest, but also to open source in general? Thank you.
That's another really good question. I love that. So before I answer that, I just want to say, remember everyone, don't forget to register before I give you all the more details on this. But also, it's not just about code to participate. There are so many ways, and the ways you can participate is documentation. See if there are any missing steps in the documentation. Run through it. If you're new to a project, new to tech, you have an advantage here. Use it to your benefit. Go through the documentation. Are there any assumptions made? Are there any terminology that doesn't make sense? Are there any acronyms that you can think, well, maybe you could ask a question to the community and they can give you an answer, and then you can improve the documentation. It's a great way to get into tech. Another way to do this is GitHub Actions. And that might sound really scary, but GitHub Actions are just a few lines of YAML config. But so many projects have linting, have testing, have all these great things, but they're not automated on every kind of change. And it's really good that you could automate these, and the maintainers will love you for it. if there are automated testing, often it falls behind and the code coverage drops, or people don't cover all the boundary conditions, right? They're just checking, can you log in? But they don't checking, does a login fail if you get your username wrong or your password wrong, or does it time out and all this great stuff? So you could look at the automated testing and add all these boundary conditions that people miss. And yes, the community and the project will love you for these as well. And if you speak another language like Francesco does, you could use those skills to translate the documentation of the project. Therefore, you can reach a wider audience. But please, everyone, remember to pay attention to the rules that Hacktoberfest has put out there. So therefore, you're not spamming anyone. Therefore, you're not doing all this work and it's not counting to your Hacktoberfest kind of for pull request counter. When all the checks pass, the right topics, the right labels, etc., it takes 7 days for the review period to pass before it appears in your Hacktoberfest account on the Hacktoberfest website.
Nice. Okay, Eddie. And just before we close this, let's say, Hacktoberfest mini crash course, what if I get stuck? Because let's say I want to contribute, then I don't know, I find a bit lost. I can't make my PR for any reason, or maybe it was too hard, that project for me. So what should I do if I get stuck?
I think this is going to happen to everyone at some stage. If it's during Hacktoberfest or after Hacktoberfest, what I recommend to everyone is doing a good first issue that's been written really well. So you can kind of get familiar with the project, familiar with the workflow and the community. And then I would recommend people to challenge themselves. Don't try and just do the good first issues all the time for 2 reasons. One, you're not going to be learning, you're not going to be challenging yourself. Also, you're taking them away from other people who are trying to get into tech as well. So do 1 or 2 of those at most, and then challenge yourself. But don't challenge yourself so much that you really don't know where to start. Because when you ask for help, and do ask for help, people want to help you. It's very hard to help someone who's asking a very vague question who hasn't started. Whereas if someone started on something and they're stuck at something specific and say, I'm stuck on this, then people can help. They can say, oh, you then need to do this, and your error message is because of this. But if you're saying, hey, how can I get started? Then it's a very kind of wide question, and you're not going to get a lot of response and help because it takes a lot of time to guide you step by step through that. So you want to challenge yourself, but not too much. And it can be disheartening for yourself if you're picking something like so big that you don't know where to start. So by all means, everyone ask for help. But you want to do that kind of 80-20 rule. You want to know 80% of what you need to do, and 20% you're going to get challenged, and you're probably going to have to ask for help, and that's absolutely fine. But you can then ask a really good specific question. And so therefore you'll get to learn, and then you'll get to help other people next time when they ask a similar question as well.
Nice. Thank you so much, Eddie. And please remember to follow Eddie. I'll drop all the links below. You will never regret this, I promise.
Thank you so much, Francesco.
Nice. Eddie, would you like to give a final message before we close this amazing interview? I don't want to let you go, but let's keep it short and clean.
Sure. I just want to say, everyone, have a great time in Hacktoberfest. If you're unsure about anything, do ask. Ask as specifically as possible. Give as much context as possible. Provide a screenshot if you can. And come and join us and geek out with us in the Eddie Hub community. We have some exciting plans for Hacktoberfest. We're going to have lots of live streams, community Discord calls. I'm going to contribute to a few bigger projects that I'm probably going to need your help on. So let's all contribute together. I'd love for you to also get some of these big projects on your GitHub profile. That's not the main goal. I think it's important to contribute to any project. Any good project is important, but it'd be nice if we can all challenge ourselves a bit in Hacktoberfest. So let's go have some fun together. And I have some amazing guests who will be joining us, who are going to be teaching us lots of exciting things, from code to infrastructure as code with Kubernetes, and lots of awesome, interesting things. So I can't wait to geek out with you. Have fun, and don't forget to help other people. Even if you're 1 month into your journey, or even 1 week, there's someone where you were a week ago, and you can learn so much by helping them. And that's how we all scale in the tech community. So I look forward to geeking out with you all. Thank you again, Francesco.
Nice. Thank you so much, Eddie. I really can't wait. I think we'll make some collaborations during Hacktoberfest for sure. But this has been really an amazing interview. Finally, we changed a bit the format, and we have really had great time And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your energy with me. And of course, feel free to subscribe to the channel, check all the other interviews. I think we are close to 200 interviews, so we have been going for a while. And yes, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. We'll try, of course, to help. Thank you so much again, Eddie, and see you next time. See you soon.